The sharp sound of high heels echoed across the glossy marble floor of Benjamin's group of companies that morning. Sophia Uche, the famed personal assistant to the CEO himself, stormed into the lobby with her signature confidence. Her black pencil skirt hugged her curves perfectly, and the red designer handbag swinging from her shoulder screamed power and class. She didn't just walk, she owned every step. Suddenly, her steps halted. A splash. Sophia looked down. Her handbag had been stained, just slightly, with water. Her face froze in disbelief. Her polished eyes traced the source of the mess, and there he was. An elderly cleaner, stooped with age, was crouching nearby with a mop and a bucket of soapy water. His hands trembled as he tried to clean up a corner near the entrance. The water must have splashed from his mop, unintentionally, of course. But Sophia didn't care about intention. "What is wrong with you, old man?" she shouted, eyes wide with fury. The man quickly dropped his mop and raised his hands in apology. "I'm so sorry, madam. It was a mistake." "Do you know how much this bag costs?" Sophia roared, lifting her soaked handbag as if it had been attacked by acid. "This is Sophia Uche, you're talking to personal assistant to the CEO. How dare you?" The man bowed slightly, still apologizing, his voice shaking. "Please forgive me." But the apology only fueled her anger. Before anyone could stop her, Sophia kicked him. The heel of her shoes struck his thigh, and the old man stumbled backward with a cry of pain, falling to the floor. Gasps filled the air. Some of the staff in the lobby froze. Others turned away in shock. The old man groaned softly on the ground, his face creased with pain. But Sophia wasn't done. "You people should learn to stay in your place. Look at you. Your poor and lazy children probably sent you here to suffer. This bag, your entire generation can't afford it. Next time, clean like a human being and not a goat with a bucket." With a dramatic hiss, she adjusted her handbag and marched off without a glance back, her heels clacking again as if nothing happened. The old man lay there for a moment, blinking through the tears in his eyes. Another cleaner, a woman in her 40s, rushed to help him up. "Papa, are you okay?" she whispered. The man nodded gently and stood with her help. Nobody knew what was coming next, not even Sophia, because the man she had just humiliated was Benjamin Okafor, the silent billionaire, and the father of her boss. Just minutes later, Sophia was in her office on the 7th floor, completely unbothered. Her desk was neat, her laptop on. She began replying to emails and arranging the meeting schedule for the day. The cleaner, forgotten like a stain, wiped away. She sipped from her glass of fruit juice when her phone rang. It was Mr. Jude Benjamin, her boss. "Come downstairs. Now," he said sharply before the call ended. Sophia blinked. His voice sounded urgent, strange. Why would he call her downstairs like that? They usually met upstairs or in the boardroom. She grabbed her phone and walked quickly to the elevator, smoothing her blouse and fixing her lipstick as the doors closed. Something felt off. When she stepped into the lobby, her eyes met something that froze the breath in her throat. Standing tall in a sleek navy blue suit, clean-shaven and proud, was the same old man she had kicked, now completely transformed. Beside him, her boss, Jude Benjamin. Sophia's heartbeat doubled. She walked closer, her feet suddenly feeling heavy. "Sophia," Jude said, his tone icy, "is there something you want to tell me about what happened this morning?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I... "Be bold," the old man interrupted gently but firmly. His voice was steady now, his eyes locked on hers. "You had no problem speaking earlier. Say it again. Say it to my son." Sophia's lips trembled. Jude turned slowly to his father. "Please, Dad, go ahead." She gasped. "Dad?" That's when it hit her. The cleaner she humiliated, the one she kicked, the man she called poor and useless, was the father of her boss, the father of one of the most powerful young billionaires in Nigeria. Her knees gave way, and she collapsed to the floor. Please, sir. I didn't know. I often do this," Mr. Okafor said calmly. "I go around, in disguise, to see how the people in this company treat others. especially those beneath them. I didn't come to look for praise. I came to see if Jude has built a company that respects humanity, not just money. And today, Sophia, you failed." Jude's face was stone cold. He looked at her, disappointed. "I trusted you to represent me. You've embarrassed everything this company stands for." "Sir, please," Sophia cried, grabbing Mr. Okafor's feet. "Please forgive me. Give me one more chance. I promise I will change. Please." But Mr. Okafor shook his head. "We don't need empty promises. We need actions. And today, you showed your heart." Right there in front of everyone, Sophia was dismissed. The driver who had brought her that morning was told to return with the company car, but without her. Sophia stood in the lobby, shaking, humiliated, broken. Everyone who once feared her now watched silently as she picked up her handbag and walked slowly out of the building. When Sophia returned home to the small apartment she shared with her widowed mother, Olivia, she didn't say a word. Her mother asked what was wrong. She couldn't speak. She stayed locked in her room, curled under the bedsheet, unable to eat or sleep. On the third day, the silence broke, but not with words. Sophia drank poison. Her mother found her on the floor, her mouth foaming, barely breathing. "Sophia!" Olivia screamed, holding her daughter and crying out into the street. Neighbors rushed in. Someone called an ambulance. They raced her to the small community hospital. And just when all hope seemed lost, something unexpected happened. The emergency ward of the small local clinic in Ajagunle was chaos. Nurses rushed in and out. A doctor barked orders, and Olivia held her daughter's hand, her knees on the floor, weeping like a child. "Please, God, not my daughter, not Sophia. Don't take her from me." Sophia's lips were pale, her eyes shut. Foam still clung to her mouth. Her breathing was shallow, almost non-existent. The doctor finally turned to Olivia and said, "Madam, we are trying our best, but this clinic doesn't have the facilities to treat poison cases. If we don't move her fast, we may lose her." Olivia collapsed forward and screamed, and that was the moment the door swung open. A man in a black suit with a private hospital badge stepped in, followed closely by none other than Mr. Jude Benjamin himself. Behind him was his father, Benjamin Okafor, his face tight with concern. Everyone froze. Olivia blinked in confusion. You're Sophia's boss." Jude nodded and moved quickly to the doctor. "We'll take her to Mercy Crest Private Hospital. My car is outside, and a team is on standby." Sophia was lifted carefully onto a stretcher. As they wheeled her out, Olivia followed closely, holding her daughter's hand the entire time. Inside the private hospital, time moved like a blur. Doctors moved fast. Nurses ran tests. Tubes were inserted. Her stomach was pumped. Monitors beeped. 3 hours later, Sophia opened her eyes, dimly. She blinked at the light above her. Then her gaze shifted to the left. There, sitting by her bedside, was her mother, her boss Jude, and Mr. Benjamin Okafor. Tears filled Sophia's eyes before a word escaped her mouth. Her lips trembled, and her fingers clutched the bedsheet weakly. I'm sorry." "You're awake," Olivia said, weeping with joy. Sophia turned her face away, ashamed. But then, a firm hand touched hers. It was Mr. Benjamin. "Don't look away, Sophia," he said gently. "We know what you did." She wept harder. "I didn't mean to. I thought my life was over." "And you thought ending your life would fix it?" he asked softly. Sophia didn't respond. Benjamin sighed and sat down beside her bed. "You made a mistake, a big one. But mistakes are supposed to teach us, not end us." Jude leaned forward too. "I asked my father to come with me, because this wasn't about company policy anymore. It was about humanity." Sophia looked up at them through tears. "Mr. Benjamin continued, when I saw you lying on that hospital bed, I thought about your mother, the woman who raised you, sacrificed for you. What would become of her? What would become of your story? You've done wrong, Sophia, but you also deserve a second chance." Sophia's lips parted slightly, her voice barely audible. Why are you being so kind after what I did?" Jude answered this time. Because if we don't believe in second chances, then none of us would be here today. Sophia turned to her mother, whose eyes were still moist with tears. I'm so sorry, Mama, she whispered. I failed you. Olivia shook her head, holding her daughter's hand tightly. No, my child. You're still here. That means God has not given up on you. Sophia spent another 2 days recovering in the private hospital. Nurses whispered about her. Some were kind, some judged. But she said nothing. She just listened, reflected, learned. On the day of her discharge, Jude and Mr. Benjamin returned. We've decided to reinstate you, Jude said as Sophia sat on the edge of her bed, now wearing a simple grey hospital gown. But not in your old role. She blinked. I understand. You'll return as an admin assistant. It's a demotion, yes. But it's also an opportunity. I'll take it, she said, without hesitation. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Sophia, Mr. Benjamin added, his tone soft yet steady. Kindness doesn't reduce you. It lifts others, and it lifts you too. She nodded. I've learned. I swear I've learned. When Sophia walked back into Benjamin's group of companies the following Monday, the building no longer felt like her kingdom. The staff looked at her with curiosity. Some snickered. Others avoided her. But she didn't walk with her head high anymore. She smiled at the front desk receptionist. She greeted the security men outside. She even carried her lunch in a simple black tote, no designer bags, no loud heels. And when she passed the cleaning crew on her way to the elevator, she paused. One of them, the same cleaner who helped Mr. Benjamin off the floor that day, looked at her nervously. Sophia walked up to her. I'm sorry for everything I did before. I hope you can forgive me, she said with a bow. The woman smiled gently. Welcome back. Sophia entered the elevator. For the first time in a long while, she felt free. But life still had one more surprise waiting for her. It had been 3 months since Sophia returned to Benjamin's group of companies, not as the powerful personal assistant, but as a quiet administrative assistant tucked into a shared office on the 3rd floor. Her new desk was smaller, no private office, no driver, no calls from foreign investors, no seat at board meetings. But strangely, Sophia didn't complain. She arrived early every morning, smiled at everyone, joined the janitors for lunch in the company courtyard, and even helped restock paper for the printers in the common room. Most people didn't understand what had happened to her. They only knew that something had changed. The Sophia who once barked orders like royalty now listened when messengers spoke. When a younger intern once dropped a cup of tea on her desk, Sophia helped clean it with her own handkerchief. The arrogance that once made her untouchable had melted into humility. But there was one person who hadn't yet spoken to her since her return, Benjamin Okafor. She often saw him from afar whenever he visited his son or toured the building in his quiet, observant way. He had once visited the 3rd floor pantry, and Sophia had rushed out the back before he saw her. But deep down, she knew she couldn't hide from him forever. One rainy Friday morning, as thunder rolled across the Lagos sky, Sophia got a message from the front desk. Mr. Benjamin Okafor requests to see you. Now. Her heart skipped. Her fingers trembled as she fixed her scarf and took the elevator to the top floor, the executive wing. The hallway felt colder than she remembered. The walls, lined with gold-framed photos of past company milestones, now seemed to whisper lessons about pride, failure, and growth. When she entered the private lounge, she saw him. Mr. Benjamin stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back, watching the rain slide down the glass. He didn't turn. Close the door, he said quietly. She obeyed. He finally turned to face her. She looked smaller now. Not physically, but emotionally. Her once proud chin was bowed, her voice quiet. You've been avoiding me, he said. Sophia swallowed. Yes, sir. Why? She looked up, eyes glassy. Because I didn't want to disappoint you again. I didn't want you to see the same girl who did what she did. He studied her. Sophia continued, voice cracking. I've changed, sir. Truly. I know it doesn't erase what I did, but I've learned. Every single day. Mr. Benjamin walked to the coffee table and sat down. I wasn't always rich, Sophia. he said. I used to carry water on my head in the village just to help my mother. My first suit was borrowed, and I've been kicked too, humiliated, just like I was that day by you. Sophia's hands were shaking now. I came into that building that morning not just to test you, but to see if wealth had swallowed our humanity. And it had. She fell to her knees, unable to hold back her tears. I wish I could go back and undo it. I wish I could be better that day. But you couldn't, he said softly, because that was who you were. Silence. Then he added, but you are not her anymore. Sophia looked up, shocked. Mr. Benjamin smiled faintly. You didn't choose healing the easy way. You didn't look for someone to blame. You faced it. You allowed yourself to break and rebuild. Sophia wept. Then something unexpected happened. Mr. Benjamin stood and pulled a folded piece of paper from his coat. He placed it on the table. An opportunity, he said. She wiped her face. Sir? That's an acceptance letter to an executive development course in South Africa. Fully sponsored. Top 5 from the program are offered positions in our new East Africa headquarters. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. But I'm an admin assistant now. Titles don't matter, he said. Growth does. And I believe you're ready. Sophia stared at the paper, her fingers hovering just above it. Why me? Because second chances, he said, aren't given to the perfect. They're given to the willing. She couldn't hold back. She stood and hugged him. He didn't push her away. By the next week, Sophia had packed a small bag and traveled to Johannesburg for the 3-month training program. Her confidence slowly returned, but this time it came wrapped in grace. She aced her group presentations. She mentored a struggling single mother in her class. And every time she was asked why she worked so hard, she replied softly, because someone believed I was worth saving. But something else was waiting for her at the end of that program, something she never saw coming. His name was Clement. It started during a leadership exercise on crisis management. Clement, a quiet chemical engineer from Port Harcourt working with a top oil firm, was placed on her team. He was brilliant, reserved, respectful, and the only one who beat her in the final presentation score. But when he handed her a bottle of water after a long day and said with a smile, "You lead like you've been through fire," she knew something deeper had begun. He didn't ask about her past, he saw her future. And as their friendship deepened into something more, Sophia found herself laughing again, truly laughing. One night, while walking along a quiet street in Johannesburg, Clement turned to her. Would it be crazy if I told you, I want to walk this road with you for the rest of my life? Sophia's heart pounded. She looked up at the sky. The stars sparkled almost like they were winking at her. She smiled. Only a little crazy. But I think I like crazy. When she returned to Nigeria 3 months later, she wasn't the same girl who once walked into that lobby like a queen. She walked in as a woman who had been broken, humbled, healed, and lifted again. But life had one final chapter waiting to be written, and it would change everything. The day Sophia returned to Nigeria, the air smelled like new beginnings. Benjamin's group of companies welcomed her like a quiet storm. There were no red carpets or confetti, but every staff member who had once doubted her now watched her with silent respect. She wasn't just the girl who got a second chance, she was the woman who earned it. Mr. Jude Benjamin personally welcomed her back with a warm handshake. You made us proud, he said. Mr. Benjamin Okafor didn't say much, just smiled at her as if to say, I told you so. Within weeks, Sophia was promoted again, not back to her former role, but higher. She was now the project director for community impact and culture, a new department focused on internal staff development and kindness culture. It was designed by Mr. Benjamin himself, inspired by the very test that once broke her pride. And under her leadership, the office changed. Cleaners now had lounge spaces and wellness programs. Interns had mentorship opportunities. And staff, regardless of title, were treated with dignity. But while her career soared, something sweeter brewed quietly in the background. Clement. They had stayed in touch after the Johannesburg program, but now they were inseparable. He flew into Lagos every weekend. They went to book fairs, volunteered at youth seminars, even had amala dates in roadside bukas just to feel real together. Clement didn't care that Sophia had once fallen. He only cared that she got up. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Clement took her to a quiet beach in Lekki. Just the two of them, with the waves dancing to the sound of the wind. He knelt down on one knee, pulled out a small black box, and said, "I didn't come into your life to fix your past. I came to help you build the future you deserve. Will you marry me, Sophia Uche?" Tears spilled down her cheeks before the word even left her mouth. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes." The wedding planning began, and unlike her past, it was filled with joy, laughter, and humility. Mr. Benjamin insisted on sponsoring the venue, a luxurious event center in Victoria Island, but only if the couple allowed 100 orphan children from nearby homes to attend as special guests. Sophia smiled through tears and said, "Yes, sir." Olivia, Sophia's mother, couldn't stop crying from the moment she was told about the proposal. "Your father would have been so proud," she kept saying. And so, 1 year after the day Sophia nearly lost everything, Lagos witnessed one of the most beautiful weddings in recent memory. The bride wore a flowing white gown with soft lace sleeves and carried a bouquet made of jasmine and hibiscus, her father's favorite flower. The groom, Clement, stood proud in a cream-colored agbada, smiling like he had won the world. Mr. Jude Benjamin, her billionaire boss, was the best man. And Benjamin Okafor? He walked Sophia down the aisle. That moment, as she held his arm and they walked slowly between rows of cheering guests, felt like a full circle. The man she once kicked, now giving her away. And yet, he looked proud, so proud. "I'm honored," he whispered as they approached the altar. "I'm grateful," Sophia whispered back. The reception was a celebration of grace. Orphan children danced with celebrities. There was laughter, jollof, rice, tears, and music. Sophia and Clement surprised everyone with a slow dance dedicated to their mothers. And then, something unexpected happened again. Midway through the evening, Sophia took the mic. She stood on stage, her hand gently resting on her stomach, a secret only Clement knew. "I have something to say," she began. The crowd went silent. "There was a time I thought my life was over, a time I thought a mistake had ruined my future. But today, I stand before you, not because I was perfect, but because I was given a second chance." She turned to Mr. Benjamin in the front row. "And because of you, sir, I learned that humility is power, and kindness is wealth." He nodded slowly, eyes misty. Sophia looked at her husband. "And, Clement, thank you for loving me even when I couldn't fully love myself." Then, she turned back to the crowd, her voice trembling now. "2 months from now, we'll be welcoming a baby boy into this world." Gasps and cheers filled the hall. Olivia clutched her chest in joy. "And we've decided," Sophia continued, "to name him Nenjmu, after the man who taught me that sometimes the people we look down on are the very ones sent to lift us up." The crowd rose in a standing ovation. Cameras flashed, and Mr. Benjamin Okafor. He stood too, not just out of respect, but out of love. The night ended with fireworks over the Lagos skyline, and as Sophia sat beside her husband, hand in hand, she leaned in and whispered, "Everything changed the day I kicked a cleaner." And Clement, with a gentle smile, replied, "Or maybe everything changed the day he forgave you." But even with all this joy and redemption, Sophia's journey wasn't over yet, because life was about to throw her one final, unexpected twist. 3 years had passed. The sun shone through the nursery window of the elegant duplex Sophia, now called home in Lekki. On a soft blue mat lay little Nenjmu, now a 2-year-old bundle of curiosity, babbling as he built towers with alphabet blocks. Sophia stood quietly at the doorway, one hand resting on her growing belly. She was 6 months pregnant again, this time with a girl. Her life now was everything she once only dreamed of. Not perfect, no, but beautiful because it had been built with pain, forgiveness, and love. Clement walked in behind her, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "She kicks when I talk. She's already tired of me." Sophia laughed gently. "She just likes the sound of your voice. She's already Daddy's girl." They sat together in the nursery, watching Nenjmu knock over his own tower and giggle. Sophia whispered, "Sometimes I still think about that day. The marble floor, the mop, the mistake." Clement placed a hand over hers. "And you turned it into a legacy." Just a week later, Sophia was invited to speak at the company's first annual Culture of Kindness conference, launched as part of the same internal campaign she had helped design after her reinstatement. The conference hall was packed with top executives, staff, interns, journalists, and quietly in the back row sat Mr. Benjamin Okafor, as always in a navy blue suit, eyes thoughtful, hands folded. Sophia stood at the podium, pregnant, radiant, confident but grounded. "I was once known as the voice behind the boss," she began. "Sharp, excellent, articulate. But I lacked something far more important than skill." The room listened. "I lacked kindness." Murmurs filled the room. Those who knew the story glanced at one another. But Sophia didn't pause. "One morning, I kicked a man I thought was a cleaner. I humiliated him, insulted his family, and dismissed him because of his appearance. I thought I was powerful. But that moment revealed how empty I truly was." She looked toward the back of the room. "Today, that man is seated right there. And he chose not to punish me, but to teach me." Every eye turned to Mr. Benjamin, who gave a slow, approving nod. "He gave me something I never expected, a second chance. And that chance saved my life." Applause broke out across the room. Some stood, others wiped tears. "But this is not just my story," Sophia continued. "This is about every receptionist, every cleaner, every messenger, every voice unheard. If we want a better world, a better company, a better home, we must choose to see people, not just their titles." Later that evening, as she prepared to leave, Mr. Benjamin approached her backstage. "B, you spoke well," he said with a soft smile. Sophia smiled back. "You gave me the courage." B shook his head. "You found it yourself. I only showed you the mirror." A few months later, Sophia gave birth to a baby girl. They named her Grace. Because in the end, that was what saved her, not just talent, not just effort, but grace. And every year after that, on the anniversary of her fall and rise, Sophia and Clement would host a free breakfast for all junior staff at Benjamin's group of companies. Now pregnant with a third child, she often walk into the cafeteria and smile at the newest janitor. "How's your first week been?" she would ask kindly. And if anyone watched her closely, they would see her glance at the marble floor. Not in shame, but in remembrance. Because that floor didn't just reflect her image, it once reflected her worst mistake and her greatest transformation. If you enjoy this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.